Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. As the government prepares to change the way judges are chosen, we ask just how serious are the infirmities afflicting the present collegium system, and what sort of National Judicial Commission does the country need? Tonight, my guest will speak for the first time in television on this subject. He is the chairman of the Law Commission, the former Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, Justice AP Shah. Justice Shah, let's start with Justice Karju's revelations. In your opinion, has he shed light on a serious problem that needs critical attention, or has he actually sensationalized the issue without actually getting to the nub of it?
Mr. Thapar, let me say that the revelations of Justice Karju cannot be undermined, particularly when they are backed by a former and very distinguished judge of the Supreme Court. But I have some reservations about the manner in which these revelations are made. First is about the timings, obviously. Justice Karju says that he was a judge and that therefore he could not reveal at that time. The reason, according to me, is that the system is so opaque, it's so non-transparent. Even if somebody wants to shed light, he won't do it because they are all beneficiaries of the system. Therefore, and secondly, Justice Karju is attacking the former Chief Justices instead of saying how this system could be improved. I mean, surely he should suggest some way out and not add. As a result, I'm afraid that the political class may want greater control in the matter of appointments.
So your concern as chairman of the Law Commission is not so much with the details of the revelations, which you see as somewhat sensational. Your real concern is with A, the infirmities of the present method of choosing judges,
that's right,
and B, with how you change and amend it.
Right.
Let's then begin by talking about the collegium system. For many, the key concern is it the best way of choosing judges? In your eyes, is the collegium system working effectively, or in your eyes, has it failed?
I would say very candidly that the system has completely failed. Today, the judges are appointed on undisclosed criteria in largely unknown circumstances. Justice Rumapal said that this is one of the best kept secrets in the country. So the system acts as a cabal, as a club. So where there is some trade-off, and the candidates are appointed by seeing the convenience of each of the members. So
you're saying some very important things. You said the collegium system has completely failed.
Yes.
You mean that completely failed?
Yes. I mean that it has failed.
You also say that the collegium acts like a cabal.
Yes.
Which suggests that they promote their favorites.
That's correct.
And they leave out those they don't get on with.
That's correct. Correct.
So there are vendettas and rivalries and personality problems that vitiate the selection process.
No, I would like to, since you are on this issue, I mean, I just wanted to read just one passage from Justice Rumapal's lecture, Tarkunde Memorial Lecture. Just mark the words. The very secrecy of the process leads to an inadequate input of information as to the abilities and suitability of a possible candidate for appointment as a judge. A chance remark, a rumor, or even third-hand information may be sufficient to damage judges' prospects. The country-wise, a personal friendship or unspoken obligation may color a recommendation. Consensus within the collegium is sometimes resolved through a trade-off, resulting in dubious appointments with disastrous consequences for the litigants and the credibility of the judicial system.
You're saying something very important there, although you're quoting Justice Rumapal, who was herself once, as a Supreme Court judge, a member of the collegium. You're saying people do trade-offs.
Yes. It's a fact. It is a fact, and then as a result, there is complete lack of transparency, and moreover, even if the appointments are questioned by the government, I mean, it can be overruled, and the collegium's view would prevail.
So sometimes judges say, you support my candidate, I'll support your candidate.
Of course, that's a reality. I'm not saying that all the appointments are bad, but sometimes and many times the appointments are made on this because of the trade-offs.
Three things follow from what you're saying. First of all, the collegium system has no criteria, no norms for judging candidates and appointing judges.
Of course, there are no criteria. There are no norms. I can give you just one example. I mean, there's a criteria was that the below 55, a judge, a member of the bar should not be selected. But you find that there are some some judges are appointed at the age of 60. I mean, there is no consistency, no rules are followed. It's a completely opaque system.
Which means that in fact the collegium does exactly what it wants and then justifies it to itself.
Yes, yes, because there is no questioning of the collegium decisions.
The second thing that you're suggesting is that the collegium has no way of verifying the background of the candidates it's considering or their integrity. They simply go on what they're told and they accept at face value how people perform in court.
See, the problem is that the judges of the collegium are busy with their judicial work. They don't have any machinery to investigate into the, say, background or antecedents of a candidate. There are no interviews in our system. And simply some advocates are some lawyers or some are promoted from the lower judiciary, but there is no really effective assessment of a candidate.
So something that follows from what you're saying is that many of the appointments done by the collegium are either done on the basis of prejudice or favoritism, and some are done on the basis of ignorance. You just don't know enough.
It's quite possible in the present situation where I have seen cases where the candidate, the advocate who has been elevated, has not been heard of by any judge or any lawyer. They might not have seen this advocate practicing in that court at all, but still he is elevated.
Now this also suggests the third thing, that there are no checks and balances within the collegium to actually restrain the collegium from taking the wrong decision.
See, the problem with the collegium system is it reflects the misalignment between the core values of independence, judicial independence and accountability. Here the judicial independence is protected because the judges are making appointment, but surely there is no accountability. There are no checks and balances. All that the government can do is to object it once, and if it is overruled, the candidate would be appointed.
The conclusion I draw from what you're saying is that quite often the collegium system makes people who are undeserving judges, and equally, quite often, it stops people who are deserving and who should be judges, it stops them from becoming judges.
So there are instances. I can give you two instances. The entire list which was submitted to the Supreme Court Collegium by the High Court Collegium in the recent past, the Madras High Court and the Chandigarh, Punjab and Haryana High Court, the entire lists were scrapped. If those candidates who were included in the list were, because this was after the protest from the bar, so if those candidates were not really desirable, then how they were selected in the first place?
This example that you're giving me, in fact, these two examples of the Madras High Court and Punjab High Court prove that there is something deeply wrong with the way the collegium system is functioning.
Yes.
There is another astonishing example that came to light last year. Gujarat Chief Justice Bhaskar Bhattacharya, in a letter that became public, accused then Chief Justice Altamas Kabir of a vendetta, of deliberately keeping him out and denying him promotion.
See, it appears that Justice Bhattacharya's grievance was that he opposed the Chief Justice's sister's appointment and therefore he was not elevated to the Supreme Court. It's impossible to verify the allegations because this is very secretly done. But such instances, such complaints do not augur well for the judiciary. So it really diminishes the image of the judiciary in the eye of the people.
And yet, this particular instance, if we can accept at face value what Justice Bhattacharya has claimed, and I accept your point that we don't know the truth, but if we accept at face value what he's claimed, he's actually suggesting that vendetta is the explanation for him not being made a Supreme Court judge.
I would not use the word vendetta, but surely he has a complaint that he was deliberately ignored. I mean, I don't know. As I said, it's impossible to verify these allegations.
Now, when you speak to former Chief Justices, they claim that in fact the collegium system is the correct interpretation of what the Indian Constitution would want. It's the correct interpretation of what Dr. Ambedkar, the father of our Constitution, would have desired. Is this in keeping with their thinking, or is it a distortion of it?
According to me, I mean, let me quote Justice Krishna here. He said that this is an egregious fraud on the Constitution. the scheme of the Constitution is that the executive will make the appointment in consultation with the Chief Justice. During Constituent Assembly's debates, it was suggested that the word concurrence should be used instead of consultation. Dr. Ambedkar said no, the Chief Justice is certainly an eminent person, but you can't place the all power of appointment in the hands of a single person. So they decided to have this checks and balances. Executive makes the appointment in consultation with the Chief Justice and other judges. But surely I'm not for a moment suggesting that we should go back to those days. I mean that because in reality the executive, when it had a sway over the appointment, abused its position, and therefore we should not go back to according to me the solution is in the appointment of a judicial commission.
Have we, in moving away from an executive dominated appointment procedure, swung to the other direction and ended up with an entirely judicial determined appointment procedure?
No, that's not. The collegium is really the judicially determined appointments. I am saying that all over the world today...
We need a middle path.
Yes, middle way.
I'll come to the middle path in a moment,
Yes.
because that's very much the second part I want to talk about.
Yes.
But what you're also suggesting is that the present judicial dominated collegium system of appointing judges is not successful because you can't rely upon judges to necessarily appoint the right people. Judges often, sometimes even knowingly, appoint the wrong people.
No, any institution should have checks and balances. My opinion is that this lacks basic democratic principles, and therefore it's not working. Many times it is said that there is nothing wrong with the system. It's only because people manning the system are failing. That's not correct. It's my view that the system itself is defective.
And you're also saying to me that this system is not what Dr. Ambedkar intended, it's not what the Constitution intends.
And that's also not in keeping with the international practices.
In which case, would you be in favor of something that politicians are now talking about, politicians of both parties? First it was the UPA, now it is the NDA, a National Judicial Commission. Would you be in favor that the government should legislate to create one, and that appointment of judges hereafter should be the responsibility of this new body?
Of course, there has to be an independent body to make the idea is that you bring more fairness, more transparency, and the candidates are selected on merit and nothing otherwise. But there is a bill which has been passed by Lok Sabha, but in my view, the bill which was introduced by UPA is wholly inadequate. It is you must create a proper system. There has to be debate on that, and that particular procedure must become a part of the Constitution.
Let me interpret what you're saying for the benefit of those who aren't aware of what happened in the last government. What you're saying is we need a National Judicial Commission to take over the responsibility for appointing judges.
Yes.
The collegium system simply isn't working. As you said, it's failed.
That's right.
And equally, we don't want a system dominated by the executive either. But you're also saying that the sort of National Judicial Commission envisaged by the UPA is not the right one. We need to rethink the National Judicial Commission.
That's correct. That's my view, because we must look at the other countries. We must now if you, Mr. Thapar, permit me that if I can explain the different systems. Now really the issue would be what kind of commission, whether it's recommending or the appointing. And
which should it be first, recommendatory or appointee?
It's my opinion, it should be recommendatory, but ordinarily, the executive, which will be the appointing authority, should not be allowed to deviate from the recommendations unless the candidate is completely disqualified or the procedure followed by the commission is flawed. Otherwise, it should be binding.
Ordinarily it should be binding.
Ordinarily it should be binding.
But in exceptional circumstances, the executive...
And for the reasons to be given by the executive, it can be nomination.
Secondly, should this commission be a permanent full-time body or one that simply operates when there's need for it?
No, it has to be a full-time body. It's what is visualized by this, envisaged by this bill is that the Chief Justice and 2 senior most sitting judges would be part of it. It's my belief, please don't bring these retired judges. Have sitting judges. They can be on deputation on rotation basis, yearly basis, but there has to be a full-fledged commission completely backed by administrative setup. They should have their own investigating machinery. It should be a complete setup to have this kind of appointments.
You're saying something very important. It should have sitting judges, not retired judges.
That's right.
But they should be there full time. Therefore, they would have to be on deputation.
We make more than 50 to 80 appointments per year.
Now, should judges on the National Judicial Commission constitute 50% of the body, or a majority of the body, or less?
The concept, if you see the international conventions, the various treaties, not treaties, the other conventions, you will find that ordinarily there would be more from the judiciary than the political class should not have a large representation in such bodies.
The majority should be from the judiciary.
From the judiciary, it should be judiciary, the bar, and also it's my view that it should be civil society should be adequately represented. We should have the best of the people
How are these members of civil society to be chosen? Who will choose them?
No, in my view, such people should be chosen by a very high-powered committee consisting of either the Prime Minister or the Law Minister as representing the government, the Vice President of India, the Chief Justice, the Leader of Opposition, and maybe one of the past presidents like Mr. Abdul Kalam or Sir. I'm just giving an illustration.
This is to ensure that they are objective and not politically affiliated.
That's right.
But a role for civil society on the body is essential.
Is a must. This people's participation in this institution, in that sense, is necessary.
Now, should this National Judicial Commission have well-established and also well-known criteria that are perhaps made public?
Of course, this criteria should be made public. And what is more important is that this criteria should be disclosed. There is one aspect which is really important, is the transparency. How do you ensure transparency in this kind of commission?
Answer that for me.
Just for instance, in South Africa, the interviews are in public. They are televised. Of course, this is not followed in England, and so also in Israel. But I feel that if you can bring transparency by first inviting the names and nominations publicly, then prepare a list of the candidates who will be screening. After the screening, will be called for interview. Interviews may be in private, but once the selection is made, again it should be on the website, and there should be yearly annual report by the Judicial Commission to the government. And
to the government or to Parliament?
No, to Parliament. To Parliament, I'm sorry, to the Parliament. And also, we may have a system like in UK, there is a system of ombudsman over the Judicial Commission. So if there is a complaint against it, goes to the ombudsman. Not that the ombudsman...
The ombudsman, in a sense, is an authority over the commission.
He will point out over the commission to deal with the complaints against the commission. So there has to be a system of checks and balances.
Prashant Bhushan, in a recent article in the Hindustan Times, said that in fact the National Judicial Commission should be required to put up on a website the names of people it's considering, so that third and fourth parties or outsiders who have some information about these people can make it available. Would you also want that degree of transparency?
I have some reservation on only one aspect. When the names are being considered, candidates are being selected, at that stage, please don't publish their names. I mean, you may, after some process, you may publish the names, because it's my view that the defamation is a national pastime in this country. And the moment some names are being considered, there will be a lot of the anonymous letters, allegations. So there is a lot of debate is necessary. But at the end of the day, we should have a very transparent and
if I understand correctly, what you're saying is you must have transparency, but also you must protect the people being considered from defamation and jealousy.
That's correct. That's one of the important aspects of the...
Now, many people would agree with your recommendation that the collegium system has failed, that you need a replacement. The replacement should be a National Judicial Commission. Many would agree with the sort of commission you've just outlined for me. Would the Supreme Court agree with this? That's the problem. Many people fear that if the government creates a commission, whether along your lines or different lines, and ends the collegium system, the Supreme Court will strike it down as unconstitutional.
Let me answer this, your question. I mean, it's a very hypothetical question, but let me put it this way. The Judicial Commission is not some idea out of hat. It's when the first judge's case was decided, they upheld the primacy of the executive, but still said that the Judicial Commission is the right way out. If a commission is properly constituted and it is constitutionally protected by putting it in the constitution, and sufficient.
Does it need to be put in a particular schedule for greater protection?
No, it should be like the appointments. For instance, election commission is a part of the constitution. The whole of the procedure, constitution of the commission should be part of the constitution. So it should be inserted in the constitution. You ensure the transparency and the other things, and even if thereafter the Supreme Court wants to question such commission and wants to persist with the collegium system, in my opinion, it will be a tragedy for the nation and a tragedy for the judiciary.
So your advice as the present chairman of the Law Commission and a former Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court to judges is, once this has been constitutionally and properly created, do not question the National Judicial Commission.
I cannot advise them, but I expect, I hope that if this is the need of the time, and a government brings such a commission, then surely the court should accept.
Now, I know for a fact that you will be meeting the law minister on Monday. He's going to be talking to you about the sort of National Judicial Commission the country needs. Will you be advising him along the lines of what you shared with me today?
Of course. I would be, naturally, and the commission would be very keen to give suggestions to the law minister and the government.
Justice Shah, a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.